All right, let's go ahead and take a gander. Let's see, are we live? Might be live. Looking like we are live. All right, cool. All right, cool. All right, we are live. We're all good to go. 13 of you guys here on an early Saturday. Now we do have the F1 stuff tomorrow morning. Truck Series live stream. I don't even know what time the Truck Series starts tomorrow, but that'll most likely be another early morning live show. So let's go ahead and take a look back at what can only be described as DEFCON 1 yesterday. Um, truly like worst case situation for the fellows in the back, and I would like to use this as a reason to push that even more. If we look at the CSV, wrong one. This is the stuff that I need for the site would be on this one. So let's take a gander really fast and take a look at what happens when you hit like DEFCON 1. I mean, this is worst case situation, worst case scenario. I mean, yeah, sure, the planes hit the towers, but man, jet fuel melt and still beams, that's like the worst situation here. And when we look back at where these teams are with pure stack from the back type of plays, you have one, you got another one, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys with nobody who started up front that finished in the top 30 pretty much. I lost a grand total of $5 Rooskies yesterday, finished 30th in the main. And the main thing I want to focus on is why you play guys from the back regardless of what's going on. Now the Austin Hill is, I mean, that's a pretty big anomaly. They got absolutely hosed by NASCAR. That is not a situation where they should have been in the back. They should have absolutely started up in the front. He most likely probably scores mid 40s in that situation here. So, like, unfortunate for Austin Hill. Like, that's actually just bad luck. But when you look at, good old AO, who has never heard of a brake pedal in his life, Gus Dean taken out. I mean, what about, the man, the myth, the legends, Timothy Beans starting and parking, Beans starting and parking as soon as the wreck is over. Like, Tim Veen starts and parks and finishes like 34th and beats 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 guys in scoring. Gentlemen, what is going on here? Like, why would you not just play guys from the back? Even in DEFCON 1 situations, you're not losing all your money. I mean, there is practically no risk involved. This is the risk of them wrecking for last at the start of the race. I mean, and that comes around about every 2 years. That'll happen in one of the plate races, to where the guys in the back just kill themselves right off the bat. And even then, I mean, Ryan Sieg, Jordan Anderson, I had 0% Sam Mayer, full fade on Sam Mayer, and you're telling me I can full fade the most popular owned guy and spend less than a McDonald's meal on the risk of that? I mean, I'll take that any day of the week. I mean, Perkins, Poole, Gase. I mean, Joey Gase. I mean, come on, CJ. Like, this is where all these guys are at. Like, this is why you play guys from the back of the field, to negate the high volatility and risk tolerance of these types of races. I cannot find a more prime example than worst case situation still working out. I mean, now you're not going to win. I mean, I only had 4 lines that got through the first incident clear and one at the end, but practically, $5. Are you kidding me? I'm not even going to complain about that. When we look at where the field is and where ownership is going to be at today, this is where I am at in terms of ranking where the field is going to come in at. Now, Eric Jones. Now, I did a full fade on Sam. Not going to do that with Eric Jones, just because I don't feel the need to be as aggressive with the Cup Series as I do the 2 other series, especially when it's just 10K and stuff up first, last night. I will personally cap my Eric Jones ownership to 30%. I will not eclipse that at all. Yet again, 65, 75, or 65, 70% chance of everybody being involved in a wreck. There's no reason to be above that on somebody who's most likely going to be the highest owned guy here. We understand that Corey LaJoy, last hurrah at Daytona, please, for pretty much the GOAT of DFS at plate races. Like, this is the only reason why anybody would be or should be a fan of Corey LaJoy. The fact that he has been optimal like 30,000 times. He has like nearly never not worked out, starting 34th in the same situation that he's been in time and time again. Also, the projected finish here is how I rank everybody. If there is no yellows, no incidents, no wrecks, where people should finish on. I've also not even bothered the up top because I don't play these guys anyway. I don't even acknowledge that these top 11 even exist in the field. So I just personally don't do anything with those guys up there for this example. But when we look here, Eric Jones, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Corey LaJoy, probably the most popular plays in the back of the field. Secondary would be Justin Haley with his amount of safety and the times that he's made it through these races. We will talk about the other individuals in a minute. Because I'm right now I'm focusing on where the ownership's going to go. That's the first point of my approach. I think this is going to be a race that's going to be very heavy on the mid pack play here. You have not only a lot of Toyotas, I mean, outside of Nemechek and Jones, but you have pretty much the entirety of Joe Gibbs and 2311, who are huge favorites to win this race and ride up front and be up front all day. Specifically, Hamlin and Wallace. These two stay together the entire race. I mean, this is like Dale Sr. and little tiny Dale Jr. Hamlin's trying to teach little Bubba Wallace. Hey, he's like, hey, Bubba, we got to try and get you your first win. It's probably going to come at a plate race. You probably want to go with me, and I'm going to push you up front. And so, like, both Wallace and Hamlin are joined at the hip. They will be very much doing the same thing. Hamlin, greatest plate racer in the last 20 years since the death of Dale Sr. So like Hamlin is always going to be in play in terms of ownership. Bubba Wallace is going to be there. We understand that Tyler Reddick is going to be pretty much with Bubba Wallace and Toyota Brigade. They're already together, so it's very easy to stack these fellows together. I'm actually we'll continue to get through ownership. So the Joe Gibbs guys, the other Toyotas up here from 17th to 19th and 24th to 27th, I would imagine combined ownership of these, you're probably going to see 2 of these. What is this? 7. I would imagine you see 2 of these 7 in probably 50 to 60% of the lineups in the contest today, maybe even 3 of these 7. Because if you're stacking from the back and you're taking good drivers and the true King Kongs up here, it's going to be a majority of the Toyotas up here because you're going to be like, oh my God, let's stack from the back. I'll take one guy from the 20s. I'll take one guy in front of the top 20. That's going to be Hamlin or Bubba Wallace. I'm going to take 2 guys in the 20s. Maybe Alex Bowman, but I mean, probably going to take Tyler Reddick, probably going to take Chastain. I'll just pair Chastain with Suarez, et cetera, et cetera. But so this is where in my opinion, the bulk of the contest will be decided on the fate of what these individual drivers do. These 10 spots, you remove Austin Hill, pretty much not in the conversation. Same thing with Burton, not at the ownership that truly matters, but it's truly these individuals. We're highlighting them more for example, or to highlight them here, not because they're my plays, but the contest will be made and broke on what these individual drivers do. It is not Jones, not necessarily Corey and Stenhouse. It is on these drivers here. These drivers, let me check one thing real fast. One thing I haven't done is just seeing the amount that you can get of these guys in a single lineup. And this is not for what I'm playing, but acknowledging what the possibility is here. So Truex is in the 8K. Got Reddick, Bell, Bowman. Okay, so that's you're not excited to see that. However, the good thing is you can pretty much you can pretty much build a lineup at least 5 of these guys in the pool, which is or in the lineup, which is why it might even be higher. I mean, my initial estimates would be, 60% of the field has 3 of these guys. I mean, I guess that's probably on par with what it'll end up being. But this is where it's made and broke, honestly. And due to these guys being here, realistically, I don't see a reason why, even if you're like truly opening the pull up, I don't see a reason why you'd play anybody in front of Truex. 17 to 40 should be enough to get the optimal in. I think the optimal certainly comes from 17 on back today in some form or fashion. And now, once we've acknowledged that these guys are pretty much the best plays here, okay, if you want to go that direction, if you like Reddick, if you like Bell, if you like Chastain, just play Ty Gibbs, okay? Play Jesus himself. If you like Wallace and Hamlin, play Truex, okay? Same plays. Who cares what their DNF rate is here? We are playing ownership and where these guys are at. That's why when I have the field ranking here, Truex would be the least popular. And this isn't, like A's would be where the high ownership guys are at. Secondary plays would probably be Bell and Bowman, but Truex, Suarez, and Gibbs would probably be the areas that you'd want to have probably more exposure to the field if you are choosing to go in the direction of chasing those guys up front. Now we're back here and we can really talk about how I think I'm going to play this. So when we look at Joey Gaze, Yaley had no issue in the field or in the duel rather in February. Okay. Yeah, sure, the car was way off pace, single car speed, but he did not have issues in the draft, in the race. Now, the only way that Gase is going to make it through, and yet again, very much follow a position that might be in a situation that he ends up beating, I'm not saying he's going to score 8 here, but I think it'd be pretty easy for Gase to beat at least 7 people in terms of DraftKings points today. Okay, starting 39th, can't lose you nearly anything. Realistically, he's going to finish right around 32nd if this race would go green. I mean, Joey Gase is in play due to that. He's not going to be the lowest scoring guy in this field. He automatically beats anybody up here who runs into issues. And so when we look at Joey Gase, probably going to beat 7 to 8 guys in the DraftKings scoring at the end of it. You must have some Joey Gase today. I will probably be at 25%. He is probably my least interested that I have confidence in, but that's where I'm going to be at. BJ McLeod, full sponsor, said he's going to run. We already saw what he did at Talladega. Now the issue comes from is skill is much more important at Talladega. People will argue that same data points come together, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to get into that conversation right now, but I do believe that Talladega is much more open to true skill. And BJ was able to drive through the field at Talladega. I think he's going to attempt to do the same thing because he's here to race. He's here to try and get the win. But and he didn't run out of fuel, Sterling had a fuel pump issue, and they couldn't fuel the car or it wouldn't get to the motor. But BJ is going to race, okay? Identical play as Suarez. If you're not Suarez, identical play as Stenhouse. If you're playing Stenhouse, you probably want exposure to BJ McLeod. Their wreck potential is the exact same. Their race up front potential is the exact same, which is a pretty negative hit towards BJ compared to nearly all of his previous races. Talladega was, the new age of live fast, and we understand that he's going to go up there and race. He's got a full sponsor, full support. Like we know BJ's going to race up there. I'm going to lean towards him being smart enough to not be involved in the first crash. But there is a real chance we get late in the race. BJ's running 8th, gets involved in the wreck, taking the white or, one of the green-white checkers. Real concern there for BJ McLeod. Like he is not the safety automatic, 22nd finishing position we've seen before, which I'm disappointed by. But tournament-wise, I mean, he's not going to be nearly as owned as these guys. Like BJ's going to be up front all day. He's going to race up front. So if you're acknowledging that, we understand. Hocevar, fantastic play starting 37th. I don't see any issue with Hocevar. The good thing is we see the Spire guys together. Typically, sometimes LaJoy wants to, big brain it and race for stage points. Oh man, like whatever. Um, but the fact that we have Hocevar, the fact that we have LaJoy, the fact that we have Zane Smith, we already have Spire in the back of the field. I don't see them progressing through the field unless they just decide to race like a bunch of Neanderthals. But Hocevar, LaJoy, Zane Smith, all in the back, most likely going to be correlated together. It's I see it very unlikely that you're going to have one Spire guy just decide to go up to the front by himself. It's probably going to be all three or not. If we look back at how they typically race, Zane Smith a bit more iffy, and Zane Smith has raced more up front when he made starts for front row, but I would envision that the Spire guys stay in the back all day. Same with the Legacy cars. I'm not really concerned. The only issue that Legacy runs into is when the Toyotas pit, they're probably going to merge into the Toyota strategy. And so, I mean, yet again, they're not that bad of a play because if all the Toyota guys wreck themselves again and they take out the Legacy cars, you're still going to have Nemechek and Jones outscoring the other Toyotas that wreck out in the field. But when we're trying to figure out how this field is going to race, I think it's very likely we see a lot of Chevys ride early, especially because we have SVG and Hemrick together back here. I mean, we like fantastic plays for a safety standpoint. Really, the only guy I'm concerned about racing would be Stenhouse and BJ in the back. So we already have a lot of guys in the back of the field that are going to ride. Most likely, yet again, if the contest is decided in this range, okay, if all these guys, like if these guys are like, hey, let's ride and survive, realistically, a majority of these guys will also stay in the back of the field. Like not everybody can just ride in the back. So we really don't lose any true positions here if there's a wreck. Or like running position wise. Like if, Hamlin, feels it in his plums and he's like, I don't like how this is feeling. I don't like the motion of the ocean up here and he wants to ride. Sure, he might go back, but I don't see a lot of these guys moving up front if like just out of nowhere at the start of the race. And then if these guys all just want to ride together, it's still more advantageous to play the guys with the farther starting positions back. Anyway, moving on. Parker Retzlaff, true question mark with the 62. Big concerns with any damage removing this car from the field. We've seen it time and time again. They don't have the ability to repair this car. If it breaks a toe link, it's done for Parker Retzlaff. I'm hoping he rides. I mean, not even fantasy point wise. Like Parker, don't race here, my guy. Let's just make it to the end of the race. Then you can get stupid, tear shit up. But like, you got to tell Miss Beard that, hey, I'm 11 years old. I don't want to die today. Please let me just ride for the first 80 laps, okay? So true only question mark on Parker. I have no clue how he's going to approach it. The volatility of the 62 wanting to race, that team wanting to race, the team also not being able to repair the car. Pretty much the worst play on the slate, possibly. Still going to probably have 15%, but that is I'm very concerned about Parker Retzlaff today. Past that, we've pretty much gone through how everybody else should race here. Past that, we talked about where the ownership is here. I'm going to have very little ownership in this range because this should be the range that double falls into. First off, these are all winning contenders in this race. These are the guys who are going to be competing directly against the fast Hendrick cars, competing against the front runners for Ford. These are the guys like you will see Bubba Wallace, Hamlin, Reddick, Bell, Ty Gibbs up in the front. We typically see these guys involved in crashes when they're up in the front. And there's no way they survive if they're all up there. And so this is the area that I would avoid ownership to personally. And if I'm going to get there, it'll be with Gibbs, it'll be with Suarez, it'll be with Harrison Burton, and possibly even Austin Hill. But I don't even think you need that risk. Like, why would you play Austin Hill over like BJ McLeod or like over Cody Ware? Like, just play SVG and call it a day. SVG is not going to be stupid. SVG is going to ride like the Collie cars are going to ride. Now, Hemrick might get stupid and race up front, but I have no concern with SVG. He wants to make it to the end of this race. He wants to learn. I mean, he's going to make the Daytona 500. He's going to go full-time next year. Like, this is absolutely a practice and a test for SVG. I don't see why he would race up front and destroy the car early. I think this race is very easy because outside of True Parker, I mean this is my not necessarily pool because I might end up going up farther, but these guys in green have a real chance. Now I said, real chance the optimal comes from 17th on back. Optimizers and the traditional approach of the best guys, that would argue this range here. Real chance, if there's no carnage, the optimal lineup comes from 17th to 27th. Real chance we see 5 guys here, if not 4, plus, possibly Nemechek or Jones and whatnot. But I'm going to build directly off of this not working and focus on the guys directly behind them who can outscore them, who can, just outscore them or nearly or fail and not lose as many and not lose as many points. Which, thank God, this is a pretty easy slate for me to do my stuff. A lot of ownership going to be in this range. We understand where the ownership's back here. I'm not concerned about ownership at all. Probably going to cap, as I said, I'm probably going to cap Jones at 30 to 35. Probably going to do the same with LaJoy. Probably going to keep Stenhouse at 25 because he is probably the most volatile of the guys back here, of the guys who are going to carry ownership. So he'll be at like 25. Past that, everybody else should be at like, 50 to 60 for me. Let's see. What's going on Pope? What's going on Sterling? Oh, 4 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Okay, yeah, so it'll be like a noon show then. Let's see. He seems to get you in a situation. Oh yeah, I can't imagine being Joey Gaze. I would be absolutely furious at AO just destroying a car. Running last. Like, it's not like these guys are so bad yesterday. Like, I can't believe he just clowned. Oh my God. Joey Gaze is in like the pretty much unsponsored self-owned car, and all the money went to AO just to destroy it, and literally didn't even complete a lap. They went maybe a mile and like a quarter, and it's total destroyed. Okay. So yeah, this is just JJ Yaley. This is just BJ, not BJ. This is Rick Ware back in the day. Worst car on equipment wise, like the 3 high likely guys to run into issues today are Parker, Joey Gaze, and BJ McLeod in terms of mechanical failure. So you have to at least be aware of that. But just from what we saw in the duels, I'm not concerned about the 44 losing the pack right off the bat unless he just can't start and fucking falls through the field and stuff. But I do believe that's I do believe we've covered about everything here. We know where ownership is going to be. We know where. Actually, I'll just leave that up. I think it's a pretty straightforward type of race to get different on. Probably my favorite play. Clearly the two. Probably favorite play Cody Ware. Second probably is Daniel Hemrick. But I will not have any necessarily increased ownership to those 2 individual drivers. I just think those are great plays. And realistically, like when you're looking at where these guys should run, these guys in the back should have this is where they should finish, right? But like their average running position should be in the back of the field pretty much all day. My only concern today with these guys is the Chevy strategy. I think that can absolutely screw up the approach because we already know Chevy's short pit in general at these tracks. We already know there's already a fuel race, and looking at that aspect, I think we're going to have enough people, Keselowski being one of them. I have a good feeling he's going to do it again, but I think there's going to be other people who just push the issue and force these guys to fucking go full out instead of save. Because yet again, going back, the only reason these guys get side by side and stuff is because some people are saving and so on and so forth. If this race would just go the way it should be, it would probably be, two individual lines, one by the wall, one by the bottom, and like nobody passes at all. Um, but I think we have enough people. Keselowski specifically, I think Keselowski's going to do it for sure. I think he's going to go full out, not care about saving fuel again, and keep the tempo up in this race. Um, Going back to the Chevy situation, if I'm, Spire, if I'm, colleague, I'm going to try and get in the same strategy as the Hendrick guys, um, as the RCR guys, and so I'm running into issues on trying to figure out how that changes up the running position because you know we're going to have maybe the field within outside of people losing the pack, okay, or like truly making like a second pack, the whole field should be within like 1.8 to like 2.4 seconds entering pit lane during the first pit stop, right? Which should be under green in stage one, unless I'm just an idiot. I don't remember when stage one ends. Leaders pit, Spire guys have to make up probably like 15 to 16 car lengths on pit entry. I don't think they can necessarily do that, unless they choose to like short pit or short fuel, like and just top off to make it to the end of the stage and then pit again. Um, so maybe that isn't even a concern, early in the race that the back marker Chevy teams get integrated with the other Chevy brigade. Like we still might have some separation there. So maybe that isn't necessarily a concern as I talk through it or think out loud. Um, what else? So I mean, I guess if I'm not worried about that, I just don't need to. I guess that's not a concern. I guess you could say the same thing with Nemechek and Jones getting with the Toyota guys, but I think that's going to be much more likely since there's only like 7 Toyotas in the race. Um, I think I about covered everything. Do you guys have any specific questions or um oh yeah, and same Joshua, like when which yet again, like I don't know if people actually pay attention here, but like now leader. First true stag in the back lineup finished 6th yesterday. Um and so I'm not saying you're wrong, Joshua, because I mean you're not. That is the public perception. People saw the back of the field get crucified yesterday, and they'll be like, "I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna play the good guys." And so like that's usually almost always a good thing um, when it happens. But still, like if people would actually pay attention, like several lines came through um, yesterday. Mm, oh yeah, just I forgot I had just the webcam on now. Let me think. I can't really think of anything else that happened or let me think. Let me see if I got any questions in the Discord. I will say, because Brooksy is he did bring up a lot of big name PD out there. Can't wait to fade all of it. I don't really know who that is referring to in the back because there's really no like I don't think Jones eclipses 38 for no 42 would probably be too high. If I'm operating on 60 here, I don't think Jones passes 38 ownership today. And if he does, it might end like at 42, but I don't think he's gonna push that. I don't think what did Mayer come in at yesterday? Oh, that's Xfinity. Knock it down. Yeah, I mean I think Jones is either low mid 40s or high 30s. So you could just be 30% on him and not worry about it. Stenhouse is volatile anyway, so people are scared to play him because he wrecks all the time. I mean, Stenhouse is gonna win the race or finish last, so that brings his ownership down. LaJoy, probably high 20s or low 30s. But this would be the place. This would be the big name place differential that I would fade here. And luckily, they're not even in the back of the field, man. Haley's ownership really doesn't matter because I'm gonna pair him with people that are lower. I'm not really concerned about that. Like I think this is the only ownership that you would probably want a full fade here. Of the big names. Hold on. Yeah, it just goes back to like this being the range of the full ownership that we want to fade. So I'm not too worried about fading ownership today. Because I'm going to do that anyway. I'm not concerned about the ownership in the back of the field. Past that, I do believe we've talked about everything. I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. The contest starts in like 9 hours or something, 10, whatever, maybe 8, 6, 7. I don't know. It starts like 6 this time, my time. It's 10:40 right now. So yeah, best of luck. And yeah, I think I want you to actively be there in this race rooting against Bubba Wallace and the Toyotas, man. That is a huge thing. If we see it, the contest will be made and broke on what Bubba Wallace, Hamlin, Bowman, Suarez, Chastain, Reddick, Ty Gibbs, and Bell do. If they're up front at the end of the race, I know for a fact I'm probably not going to win because those guys are the favorites to actually win the race. And that's going to be a horrific sweat coming down on a green-white checkered if they're up there, hoping that we get a yellow from them before the white flag comes out. That is, I guess, last thought is if we let me do this really fast here. We'll do this together. When was the last time we had a starting lineup probably this appealing? I think tracks would probably be faster. Let's go to Daytona. And let's go to Talladega. Now, I haven't looked into this because I typically don't really worry about this too much, but for the sake of just being here, we can do that. We'll do the last 4 from Talladega and the last 4 from Daytona. And the reason being is I would argue there's not a single big team back here, right? Like typically we maybe see like a Hendrick or Joe Gibbs starting farther back and stuff, but we have a full field, 12 cars with really no big names here. Factory support, yeah, sure, Toyota, but like whatever. Did I open? I did not open these. So let's open these last 4. And we're just looking at the starting position here. We're not looking at the finishing. I just want to see how many. So we had Stenhouse nearly starts. So we had Kyle Busch. We had 2 RCR. Blaney, Stuart Haas, Truex 27th. In the Daytona 500 this year. Coke last year had. Let me just see. We had Bowman, Stenhouse yet again, always back here. Byron, Chastain to 25th. So 3 big names there. We go to the 23 Daytona 500. Kyle, Ty Gibbs, less so here. All right. This is the race that I nearly won when they wrecked. I got to believe there's nobody back here outside of Eric Almirola, Keselowski, a lot of Joe Gibbs guys there. Chastain, Hamlin at 23rd, Blaney 21st. I guess Ricky just starts 35th in every race. I actually was never aware of that. Chastain, Kyle, Chris, Elliott, mid-20s. Elliott, Gregson, Bowman. And then what about this one here? Wallace, Kyle, Kevin. Okay, so I think I found 2 maybe in the past that had, just of the 8 we looked at here, that had, I guess, a similar grid to this one here with really no, like, true good drivers in the back. And actually, outside of the 500s, 40, 39, 40, that's 500 in summer. We've only had 2. This is the first plate race outside of the 500 that's had 40 cars. So actually, yeah, ownership should not actually be a concern for LaJoie, Stenhouse, and Jones. Just cap them at personally probably 30%. You'll be fine. I'm not concerned past that. But ownership should not be an issue for any of these guys back here at all. In terms of like duplications and stuff, I'm not truly concerned about that. Let's see, anything last? Nothing in the chat. Alrighty then. Best of luck, guys. Hope these fellas up here wreck, and I will see you in the truck show tomorrow. Peace out. Good luck.